Okay, this is a short video on using the Application Updater UI from Adobe that allows you to update your Adobe Air applications basically seamlessly. And this is a very nice feature, but it confused me for a couple of days because there's so many different versions out there of ways to do this. And the thing is they keep updating Air, and they've gone through 3 different major levels of renditions for Air 1, Air 2, and Air 3 now. So what I'm just going to show you the way that you do it with the latest Air version. This is Air 3.7, and we'll go from there. So the things that confused me was I didn't understand how to use the framework. Now that I look back, I'm going, what was I thinking? It wasn't that hard. But when you run Flash, and this is all, I'm dealing with Flash Professional CS4 here, and so, or CS6. And what you'll notice is that if you go into Manage Air SDK, that there's 3 different versions of Air on my system. And 3.2, 3.4, and the latest that I could download was 3.7.0, 2090, whatever. And so what you do is you just go to Adobe and download the latest SDK, unzip it into a folder in this location, and make a new name here. Then you just have to add this to go find it, and then Flash knows about it. Now where you actually change those settings are, you change them right through Publish settings, I know for sure, and you can choose the target. So this target will now show up for that version level that I just installed. Okay, so that's how you get that all working. So what happens is this Application Updater UI is a nice set of APIs that have a user interface. Previous tutorials that I was looking at are from 2008, 2011. There wasn't a user interface available except for Flex users. And so that's where a lot of the confusion came in for me, because they now have this. But anyway, how you get this is you gotta first of all install the new version of Air. Okay, so once you've made this folder and unzipped the SDK from Adobe, you then plunk everything into this folder. And where you want to go is into the frameworks, libs, Air, and here it is right here. So that's the user interface SWIC file, and so you just have to tell Flash where that is. So in Flash, you'll go to Publish Settings, Action Script, and you'll go down here and you'll add that path to the library. So here it is right here. Now I have the user interface version and the non-user interface version is links here, but I really don't need this one because I don't want the version without the user interface. So I just wanted the user interface version. So you do that, you just browse to a SWIC file, and then you navigate to that spot. So anyway, this is pretty straightforward. You just go to where I just was, Flash CS6, Adobe Air 3.7, frameworks, libs, Air, and then boom, you highlight that and you hit open. And so you don't want this one. So anyway, that does that, and then that shows up there. Once you have that, you're ready to go. You can come in here, and this is the basic code. You'll see that there's nothing to it at all. And this is a very simple app I made that all it has is actually this. It's just a text box, a dynamic text box, okay, with the ability so I can just see the version. That's all that is. So you can see here that the dynamic text box is called version number text, and I just changed that to the current version. So what you do here is you start up the Application Updater UI, you create an instance of it. Here's the import statement, by the way, that gets it. And then if you need to, there's 2 different ways to get these 2 pieces of information. I wanted to put these right into the app. I just found that very convenient, and that's it. Other people will put this actually in an XML file that sits right alongside the app. And I didn't want to bother with that, because then I have to make the XML file. So why not just put everything you need in the actual program instead of in the XML file? So there's 2 XML files. If you go this route, there's the XML file that sits right next to your app, and then there's the XML file that sits on a server somewhere, and that allows you to determine if there's an update or not. So anyway, I set the delay to 0 because I want this to check for an update every time the person starts the program. It then initializes it, and then this is to turn off a series of buttons actually just one pop-up that shows up. So what I wanted is I wanted my app to automatically go look and see if there was an update. I didn't want to ask the person to check to see if there is an update. So this is check for update visible. I put false there so that dialog box doesn't come up. But the nice thing is you don't lose that functionality. Then what happens since that box doesn't show up is it automatically goes and checks for an update. And if it finds it, then a pop-up will say there's an update available. Would you like to download it? If there's no update available, then it just skips right along and this whole thing ends and your program starts and everything's hunky-dory. So that's what's nice about these. You can find all these just by Googling Application Updater UI, and you'll find the interface for this. I mean, it'll look something like this, API reference, okay? And then here you've got a lot of these booleans that you can set. So some people will want to check for an update, download the update, and do everything without the person even knowing. And then so you can turn off a lot of these booleans, like the download. There's one for download. Yeah, it's downloading update visible. Progress. Okay, so the progress bar, you can just get rid of all those dialog boxes. And so it could do a lot of things automatically on its own. I wanted them to know that a new dialog box or new version was downloading. I want everything. I just didn't want it to check, so they had to check every time they started it. I thought that would be annoying for them. So what is this XML file look like? Well, this you've probably seen a lot of examples, just like this. Now this number right here is not the Air version. It's not the version of Adobe Air. This is they have a special term for this called a namespace. And I gotta be honest, I don't really understand it all. But this number can only be 1 or 2.5 as of now. Maybe by the time you watch this, there'll be another number that's allowed here. But so this is, and there's some other tutorials out there that talk about this namespace thing. Here's the new version, because right now on my computer I have installed version 1, and here's the URL of the new update, which you can see is right here. Now, believe it or not, this actually says version 1.1 in it. And you find that by going into the Air desktop settings. So the one that I'm showing you right now is the one on my computer, version 1. And I just ended up saving this exact same file again with even the same output file name. And I put 1.1 here. And then I saved that to a different location on my computer, so I didn't erase the first one, and then uploaded it to my server. And then that's what's on the server right here. Okay, so it's version 1.1. It's already loaded up in the server. And so when I go in and I actually run the original, which is on my computer right here, so it tells me I'm on version 1. That's all this application tells me is which version it is. And it tells me there's an update available. Notice how there was no dialog box that said, do you want to check for an update? If I would have had this over here set to true, or if I just wouldn't have put this line in here at all, then it would have asked me if I wanted to check for an update. Because a lot of these booleans, I think all of them actually default to true, so that every dialog box shows up. So I'm down here. Yes, there's an update available. I'm going to go to 1 to 1.1. Tells me the release note. This is the latest version of the sample application. That's down here. And then I download now. Good, download it. I'm going to install now. And then we'll restart it, and boom, I'm at 1.1. So now on my computer I have version 1.1. That's it. Now if I want to go back and try that again, believe it or not, I can just re-download the original version, or reinstall the original version. And it says I'm going backwards now, and I'm going to replace, so I can then test it again. So a lot of nice little options here for testing all this stuff. And here it's checking me there's an update again. So that's how you do this. Very nice feature in Adobe Air. And it only works, by the way, with the Air files. Everything I read says this does not work with the exe files or the DMG or whatever Apple uses, so you got to keep that in mind too. But I hope this helps some people in getting this working a little bit faster than it took me. So I'm going to sign off before I hit the 10-minute YouTube limit.